We use the word ground, okay, to refer to the most stable configuration. So the ground state configuration refers to the most stable or the lowest energy configuration of an atom or an ion. And the word excited refers to higher energy condition. So an excited state configuration would involve one where the atom or the ion is at a higher energy. Okay, so which of the following is the ground state configuration of hydrogen, and which one is an excited state? Let's look at the choices. 1s1, 1s2, 2p. So this one says you have an electron in the 1s orbital. Okay, this one says you have 2 electrons in the 1s orbital. And this one says you have 1 electron in a 2p orbital. Well, obviously B can't be right because hydrogen has only 1 electron, right? So in which orbital does the hydrogen atom have, does an electron of the hydrogen atom have to be if it were to have the lowest possible energy? If you recall from an earlier lesson, we said that E, the orbital energy is just depends on the quantum number n, so it's negative r sub h z over n squared, right, where z is the atomic number. So the lower the n, the lower the energy. So an electron in the 1s orbital would correspond to a lower energy. So this would be the ground state of hydrogen. That would be the ground state configuration. And 2p, an electron in a 2p would be an example of what we would call an excited configuration, an excited state. Okay, so an atom of hydrogen where its electron is in the 2p orbital would be a high energy atom. Eventually that atom is going to lose that energy, give it off in the form of light, and the electron uh, goes down to the 1s orbital, we might say. Okay. Now, unless otherwise specified, when we talk about electron configuration, for much of what we're going to be doing in this lesson, when we talk about electron configuration, we mean the ground state configuration. So, unless unless it's obvious from context that we're not necessarily referring to the ground configuration, when we say electron configuration, we mean the ground state electron configuration. Let's try an example of an excited configuration. Let's look at helium, for example. Helium has 2 electrons. So that means the ground state configuration for helium, you can get that by putting those 2 electrons in the 1s orbital. Okay, so this would be your ground state configuration. Any other configuration of helium would be an excited state. So if you put, for example, 1 electron in the 1s orbital, and the second electron you put it in the 2s orbital, this would be an example of an excited state. What's another example? You can put 1 electron in the 1s, another electron in the 2p. That's also an excited state of helium. That's another example. You can put 2 electrons in the 2s, that would be an excited state. Okay?